threatens to get worse ahead of Ganesh Chaturthi. We'll tell you why it is possible that the government's priorities are misplaced. That's the question we are going to be raising. Also, we will decode the Supreme Court's rarest of rare dictum in the context of the horrific case of Ankita. Justice for Ankita. We'll tell you more on that too. But first, as always, it's time for the 9 headlines at 9. No Ganesh Puja will be allowed at the Idgah Maidan in Bengaluru tomorrow. The Supreme Court steps in and orders a status quo, a plea on the ownership of the ground to be reheard in the Karnataka High Court. No detention, no arrest for rape accused Muruga Mutt seer in Karnataka. Locals protest against the police inaction. The Lingayat Mutt throws its weight behind the pontiff, calls the rape charges a conspiracy. CBI checks the bank locker of Delhi Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia in the liquor gate controversy. Anna Hazare enters the phrase, slams his former protege Kejriwal, claims he's drunk on power and arrogance. Suspense continues over who will be the next Congress chief. Is Shashi Tharoor set to throw in his hat? Stresses the need for big organizational overhaul in the party to stay relevant.
The focus in politics has been national and international so far. If one day other vistas open up, one doesn't want to say no. So that's all.
JMM Congress RJD MLAs check in at a Raipur hotel amidst poaching threat in Jharkhand. This after the Election Commission recommends the disqualification of Chief Minister Hemant Soren over an alleged illegal mining case. Another twist in BJP leader Sonali Phogat's murder case. Family claims Neta's PA poisoned her to snatch her property. Says main accused and PA Sangwan spiked Sonali's food 2 months ago. National Crime Records Bureau data reveals a sharp rise in crimes against women in India. Delhi, Mumbai, Bengaluru named among the most unsafe. Kolkata the safest city for the country's women. Government to lift caps on domestic airfares from tomorrow. Move expected to give airlines more flexibility to set prices on flight tickets. And Iraq in political turmoil after 30 killed in clashes. Prominent Shia cleric Al-Sadr orders his supporters to not engage in violence. But our top story at the moment is coming from the Supreme Court, which late this evening has ordered a status quo to be maintained at the controversial Idgah Maidan in Bengaluru's Chamrajpet area. Putting aside the Karnataka High Court's verdict, the Supreme Court said it will not allow the Ganesh Chaturthi festival to take place at the Maidan. Remember, the Supreme Court has pointed out that for 200 years the puja wasn't held there. The court has further ordered that the ownership of the land should be decided by the Karnataka High Court. Muslims have been praying on this land on Eid. It was a day of high drama in the Supreme Court with a 2-judge bench failing to arrive at a ruling as they were split. The Chief Justice then set up an additional three-judge bench or a third judge that met and settled the matter late in the evening. The Karnataka Revenue Department and the State Waqf Board are both claiming ownership of the Idgah Maidan land, and this has led to a tussle between the the Waqf Board authorities supported by parties like the SDPI and the Karnataka government there, which claim that Ganesh Chaturthi should be allowed. So Anisha Mathur and Nagarjun Dwarkanath are joining us from Delhi at the Supreme Court and in Bengaluru, where the security has been tightened. First to you, Anisha. It is almost unprecedented that you have a situation where late till this evening, the Supreme Court gets into the act and decides that finally status quo, a third judge had to be brought in. It was a 2-judge bench. A third judge had to be brought in. What was the main reasoning the court gave for deciding that Ganesh celebrations cannot be held?
Well, Rajdeep, it wasn't a third judge that was brought into the first two-judge bench. It was a three-judge bench that was separately constituted. Earlier, for 2 hours, Justice Hemant Gupta and Justice Sudhanshu Dhulia heard the matter. And because those two judges could not come to a conclusion, a three-judge bench of Justices Indra Banerjee, M.M. Sundaresh and A.S. Oka heard the matter after 4:30 p.m. till almost 6:30 p.m. Now, the issue before the court was really that the Karnataka state government has argued that because the Idgah ground is an open ground, it is a Sarkari land, and therefore it is for the government of the state to give permission for religious or cultural functions of any religion at that ground. The Idgah, the Central Muslim Association and the Idgah Management and the Waqf Board of Karnataka have opposed this argument of the Karnataka government, saying that it is an Idgah and it has been recognized in the Idgah for more than 200 years. It is there in the land records since 1870s. Now, and along with this entire legal land dispute comes the issue of the religious political drama that is playing out in Karnataka, where the demand was made that a Ganesh Chaturthi festival should be held at that Idgah ground. The court, of course, specifically questioned, has any religious observance apart from Ramzan and Bakrid been held on those grounds for the last 200 years? It was a categorical answer from the Karnataka state government that no such functions have ever been held in the last several decades.
Right.
However, they also attempted to argue that just because something has not happened there so far does not mean it can't happen now. The court, of course, did not accept that argument and said status quo should be maintained. The issue of the legal ownership can be decided by the Karnataka High Court.
Let me go to Nagarjun. Nagarjun, is security again being tightened? Is this the latest religious flashpoint in Karnataka, which goes to the polls early next year? Who are the groups who are demanding that Ganesh Puja be held on this specific ground?
Rajdeep, the security deployment still remains to be the same. 3 DCP level officers, rapid action force, SWAT teams with complete ammunition and riot gear are at the Idgah Maidan ground. Even though Supreme Court has put in status quo, the security deployment has not been reduced because it is communally sensitive area. Police already have information that the minority might come near the Idgah Maidan and burst crackers, and that might provoke the Hindu groups, and that's the reason security deployment continues to be the same. Regarding the question as who wanted to install the Ganesh Pendal in Idgah ground, it is a local organization called Chamrajpet Association. In Kannada, it's called Chamrajpete Okkuta. This is a local Hindu group association in Chamrajpet area where in Bengaluru the Ganesh festival wanted to be celebrated. They're the ones who wrote to C.T. Ravi first, General Secretary BJP, saying please recommend to the state government, asking them to give us permission. It all started here when C.T. Ravi wrote to the Chief Minister saying, please grant permission because the land belongs to the government. Subsequently, the minority groups also went to the High Court seeking justice, and then the government appealed. Finally, today, the ball was in the Supreme Court, where the court said status quo has to be maintained. But in the next 3 days, starting from tomorrow, Ganesh Chaturthi, all eyes will be still at Idgah Maidan, because you never know what happens in a communally sensitive area. Because Hindu groups wanted to install the idol there inside the ground, but as per Supreme Court, they will have to wait till the legal battle is over.
Okay. From Bengaluru and Delhi, Nagarjun and Anisha, appreciate your joining us. Now, all of this comes on a day or days where Bengaluru has a real crisis. Floods. Large parts of Karnataka and indeed southern Karnataka as well as Kerala are experiencing heavy flood. Now, look at the governance priorities. Here is the Supreme Court hearing an Idgah Maidan, whether Ganesh Puja should be allowed or not. On the ground, as you can see, large parts of Bengaluru, areas around Whitefield, other low-lying areas have experienced flood waters over the last 48 hours with water logging. So you have two images. Remember, over the last few days, we've seen potholes increasing also in Bengaluru along with water logging. And there you have this large security presence at the Idgah Maidan, where this battle is taking place over whether Ganesh Puja should be allowed tomorrow or not, with the Supreme Court eventually stepping in. Let me also tell you that let's take a look at that, how incessant rains are wreaking havoc in Karnataka. Take a look at this story.
Roads submerged in water. Traffic caught in massively waterlogged streets. life coming to halt. Bengaloreans left in knee-deep water. India's Silicon City getting drowned in rain woes after heavy showers lashed the city. IT hub of India, Bengaluru, which often sees pothole nightmare on roads, struggled after heavy downpour. Roads turned rivers, exposed the government claims of a world-class metropolis.
It is BTM layout and Madiwala area. This street is completely inundated after 48 hours of non-stop rain. You can see to what extent the water logging is. This gate to my right was completely submerged. Also, the water levels have come down. The BBMP and the fire department have constantly been working to remove the water and drain it back to the lake or the drain here. How bad has been the rain here, and how much did you see the water logging in your house?
So bad. Water came to our house only, and insects are coming inside, and the garbage is piling up. Everything is bad, so bad. We are not able to go to office.
Not just the super posh areas of Bengaluru, highways leading to the city were also submerged. The heavy rainfall effectively shut down the expansive national highway that links Bengaluru and Mysuru. Passengers were evacuated from buses and cars in rainwater. The Met Department forecasts cloudy skies and light to moderate rainfall in Bengaluru till Thursday. Similar scenes were seen in Ramanagara as well, where flash floods claimed lives of at least 2 while rendering thousands homeless. In Tumakuru, the roads and villages are inundated. Roads connecting Basavahalli village were washed away. Hubli too faced similar rain pain. With Nagarjun Dwarkanath in Bengaluru, Bureau Report, India Today.
So I want to reflect on two contrasting images at the top. Infrastructure collapsing, as you saw, even as religious polarization continues. Is Karnataka caught in religious tangles, and is this in a sense symbolic of what's happening in some other parts? What really matters to you or us as citizens? Vikas or identity politics? Those are some of the questions I want to raise. Mohandas Pai is someone who's been a face of Bengaluru for years, raises these civic issues from time to time. I'm joined by Katyani Chamraj. She's Executive Trustee at Civic Bengaluru. Aishwarya Mahadev is Congress spokesperson, and Mohan Vishwa is BJP spokesperson. But I want to come to you, Mohandas Pai, first, because here you're seeing two different images. My top story, Idgah Maidan, whether Ganesh Puja should take place or not, battle goes to the Supreme Court. And on the ground, what is happening in Bengaluru? The city seems to be collapsing because of rainfall. Is this a case of misplaced priorities? Is there an attempt to sort of find religious issues that polarize people and distract people from the real issues, which is collapsing infrastructure?
You know, Rajdeep, there are two different issues. I don't think we should link them. Please remember, the Ganesh Chaturthi Chamrajnagar property issue has been going on for some time in the courts. And only today read the Supreme Court. Supreme Court gave a decision, whatever it is. I don't think we should link. This has happened because of heavy rain. The basic problem in Bangalore is the breakdown of governance in the city. We have a city corporation which is ineffective, which has been captured by the real estate mafia consisting of the corporators, where there are MLAs in that particular area who are extorting money, who are not bothered. We are not then, contractors have not been paid for 2 years for work done. And there are allegations that huge bribes are being taken. Bangalore has been mismanaged for the last 15, 20 years. I've spoken to 5 chief ministers of Bangalore for the last 20 years to improve. Everybody has said yes. Everybody has spent money, but where are the money gone? The money has been eaten away largely. Even today, we continue to suffer. There has been no improvement in the quality of life for the last 20 years. The BBMP, which is the corporation, is ineffective. There have been demands to break it up into 5 corporations, the full-time mayor. We have a mayor who's there for 1 year, a ceremonial post. The BBMP has no powers. It's a disgrace. India's global city, India's best city known globally, is suffering its worst crisis and is only getting worse. When they go to the chief minister.
But I don't, the priorities. The reason why I link the two stories is the priorities. the
No,
messaging
Rajdeep.
that comes out of Karnataka's government seems to be to focus at times on religious issues, whether it be a hijab ban, whether it be this Idgah Maidan
Rajdeep.
controversy, instead of the real crisis of civic infrastructure.
Rajdeep, civic infrastructure is a running sword for 20 years. It's not come yesterday, today. It's not come in this government. It was there in the Congress government. It was the JDS government. It's been in all government for 20 years. You know the story in Bangalore. All right? You know, we have a metro which is running beyond schedule. Nobody knows when they're going to install anything. We have a metro which is spending 35,000 crores without a proper project management system. We have a metro run by bureaucrats who probably don't know their job. And look at the Delhi metro, which has been effectively done. Money is being spent, and the chief minister promises to give money, has given money, but is not able to implement on the ground.
So what
And
happens
these
to your status as an IT capital? You know, you are supposed to be India's global city, and
Yes.
in a global city, you are seeing either potholes or flooding taking place almost
Yes.
routinely now.
Rajdeep, it is a shame for India. It is a shame for our government in Delhi. It is a shame for our government in Karnataka. It is a shame for our BBMP that they let down the people of Bangalore who are trying to best to build a great city and bring up India. It's like Bombay. Even your city of Bombay has run down. Well, anything wrong with Bombay is governance and corruption, right? Deep corruption in Bombay, deep corruption in Bangalore. There is no governance in our cities. That's a challenge all across India. And we all have to get together to improve the governance. The only effective way is to have better governance, reduce the impact of corruption, reduce the hold of the mafias, real estate mafia, the corporate and others who are trying to make money here, and improve the justice system to put them in jail. You know, Rajdeep, our sewage, our road cleaning contract has not been done for the last many years. People are captured there, they've gone to court, there's a stay, and the city is dirty. Money is being spent, but nobody knows where the money goes.
Right.
It's a national disgrace, Rajdeep.
You know, you're saying it's a national disgrace. Katyani Chamaraj, as is being suggested here by Mohandas Pai, it's gone on for the last 20 years. You know, what we saw in Mumbai, and Mumbai also continues to reel under poor urban governance, we are seeing in Bangalore almost being duplicated and, if anything, worsened. Do you see any improvement at all? Do you believe the political class of Karnataka has let the people of Bengaluru down, as I would argue the Maharashtra politicians have let the people of Mumbai down?
Absolutely. I think there is a connection between the religious polarization that is happening and also the breakdown of infrastructure in Bengaluru. And
what's the connection? What's the connection?
Sorry.
What's the connection? You're saying there's a connection between religious polarization and a breakdown of urban governance?
Because they're totally involved in polarizing the society and in raking up issues which are non-issues, and they're completely ignoring the actual developmental needs of the cities, and there is complete breakdown of governance. So what you see, the flooding that is happening is because of the total breakdown of the planning process in Bengaluru. You know, the planning process is only on paper, and the encroachments are being allowed indiscriminately, which is leading to, Raja Kaluways and the lake beds and the stormwater drains all being encroached, and that is why we are having this flooding.
You know, in a way, what you're saying is what I've heard for years in Mumbai as well. Mohan Vishwa, it almost seems to me, you're the BJP spokesperson, your party is in power, that what we saw in Mumbai happen over the years has happened in Bengaluru. The real estate mafias take over. They get support from netas, they get support from local bureaucrats, lots of money is to be made out of it. And to distract people in Mumbai, we saw identity politics played, Marathi Manus politics played. And in Karnataka, we are now seeing religious politics also being played out, when the priority of the government should be to first fix urban governance. I don't think the people of Bengaluru are as worried about whether Ganesh Chaturthi takes place or hijab bans happen. They want first better civic amenities. That should be the priority, Mohan Vishwa, of any government in the 21st century.
See, Rajdeep, I don't know why you are comparing the both. Who started all these religious issues? Who started hijab? It was the Congress youth team first, which went to the Udupi college, and they were the one who started. Later, SDP was the one who supported them and filed the petition. It was them who started. Post that even Azan issue also, there was an earlier circular which was not followed. Our government just implemented it. And regarding this Savarkar issue also, who started? It was Mr. Siddaramaiah who went to Shimoga. He was the one who said why Savarkar poster should be put in a minority area. Then he went to Coorg to talk about Tippu Sultan, even after knowing the fact that Tippu was not at all entertained by Coorg people. So they were the one who started. We have not started anything. We are not focusing anything on religious
what happened to your
like
smart?
MD Pai.
What happened? You can't use it as an excuse for failing to deliver on your smart city commitments. You had made various commitments. And at the end of the day, what are we? Contractors are now claiming in Bengaluru they have to pay a 40% commission. So you have to pay a 40% commission.
What do you have? You take Congress, starting from this national leader to state leader, the same allegation was made by Mr. Rahul Gandhi in the case of Rafael. Supreme Court slapped the Congress to the core. And the same allegation was made in the case of Pegasus. There was no basic evidence for the claim.
Contractors Association in Karnataka, Sir Mohan, Contractors Association has claimed that there is a 40% commission on all projects. We have seen in Bengaluru, as Mohan Das Pai said, there are cost overruns. Projects timings are not being met. Instead of focusing on smart cities, urban governance, far too many extraneous issues get far too much importance. Maybe in the media, but maybe also in government.
Say, Rajdeep, Bangalore BBMP recently, Mr. Basraj Bommai allotted 6,500 crores for 28 assembly constituencies. One thing in our government is, it's unfortunate that the average rainfall of Karnataka was 950 millimeters, but from past 4-5 months we have experienced more than 1,000 millimeters. That too, Bangalore has the highest rain affected place, okay? And lot of back-to-back infrastructure projects have been taken up in Bangalore city. And one more thing I will tell you, I was talking to one of the BBMP engineers. He said the average temperature of Bangalore have not crossed 23 degrees from past 8 to 9 months, which is leading to certain technical issues, okay? It's not that we are sitting idle or we are not doing anything.
Okay, but the fact, Mohan Das Pai, okay, 1 minute, Mohan. Okay, Mohan Das Pai, you're nodding your head. Before I come to Aishwarya, yes, you want, yes.
Rajdeep, roads are built in cold weather in England, in the United States where there is snow. I don't know what this chief engineer talks through his head. If you don't put enough tar in the road will cave in. If you do not have a proper slope on the road, water will stand. That is the problem. It is shoddy work, bad work, corrupt work. That is what is happening. There is no supervision. There is no project management. I don't want this person to give excuses.
Okay.
There is a failure of governance. There is a lot of corruption in the city. It must be stopped. This is a governance issue. It must be stopped. It's got nothing to do with religious polarization as far as city of Bangalore is concerned.
Right.
So let us not link the two. There is corruption, bad governance. Yes, Chief Minister Bommai has given money. He is trying his best. He is new to the job. And there are no allegations of corruption against him. He is a clean person. But we have a legacy. It must be clean.
Can I bring in Aishwarya Mahadev? Because, Aishwarya, we can go on blaming each. Bengaluru's problems have been built over the last 20 years. S.M. Krishna was your chief minister at the turn of the century. He spoke about making Bengaluru this globalized city. But urban governance is critical to build a globalized city. You want to build a globalized city, and yet you get tied up in the kind of religiously polarizing issues. I recall Kiran Majumdar-Shaw making this point a few months ago when the entire issues over Azan, over whether Muslim traders will be allowed to ply their trade outside religious festivals took place. Karnataka's image is taking a huge beating at the moment, and that leaves the entire question mark as to whether there is any government committed to urban governance.
Good evening, Rajdeep. Before I answer exactly what you said, in 2018, the BJP put out a manifesto where they promised a few certain things. One of them was something, the 24/7 anti-corruption helpline, where if you see any act of corruption, then, you should call the government and the government will take action. Thank God for the BJP that they never implemented it, because the phone line would be ringing off the hook because of the sort of excesses and the sort of corruption and graft in my state today. Along with that same anti-corruption helpline, they spoke about having, an exclusive act just for Bangalore city, just for Bangalore infrastructure. They made massive promises on whether it was the steel flyover or whether it was the railway network. And you've seen exactly what has happened today. Instead of development, you're seeing thousands and thousands of crores going into corruption. You're seeing a KPTCL scam, a PSI scam. You see teachers, 13,000 school, members of 13,000 schools in Bangalore have alleged corruption. The BBMP goes 10% ahead and says it's not 40%, it's 50%. And that is the reality reality of my state today, Rajdeep. and
Aishwarya,
nobody
some
can
of these
deny it.
commission charges were made when Mr. Siddaramaiah was also chief minister. It's not as
You know,
if
the fact is,
it's not as if
every time, let me answer
Karnataka's
that,
politics
Rajdeep.
only changed in 2018.
Rajdeep, let me tell you, for as much as Mr. Modi came and spoke about a 10% government and whatnot, you have not seen the BJP even come out and have half as much courage to say they are not as corrupt as the government. Mohan Vishwa can laugh, yes, but what is more funny and what is pitiable is the fact that the BJP cannot govern itself today whatsoever. And this is the state of infrastructure in my state. And if you look at Chanpatna, where the highway authority is building that much touted Bangalore-Mysore highway, that is only Pratap Simha's only singular achievement as being a parliamentarian. You've seen thousands of crores of loss and the government is doing nothing. And today, Rajdeep, I will come down to the most essential fact. Why are they playing into these ideas of century-old established practices of religious places, or even causing this entire idea of a communal divide? Is because they have learned from the playbook itself. Is when you have no development, you go on those base common feelings or those emotive agendas. And that is what is happening today. It is an us versus them narrative. So much so that youngsters are cannon fodder today, Rajdeep.
Even as we are speaking at the moment, Mohan Vishwa, and we started the show with the Idgah Maidan controversy in Bengaluru. Now the controversy has spread to Hubli, where it's existed for a long time, where again we have the prospect tomorrow of Ganesh Chaturthi, Muslim and Hindu groups face to face coming in and the Supreme Court having to step in. Now Karnataka government could have said status quo. The Karnataka government also appeared keen to try and somehow or the other make this, push the idea that allow Ganesh Chaturthi celebrations to take place on the Idgah Maidan. Now these are all sensitive issues. My point is, these issues need to be settled between the religious groups. The government's job should be governance, which includes first fixing urban infrastructure. I am only talking of priorities. Would you concede that the top priority of a government should be to fix the urban infrastructure?
See, Rajdeep, that's what, when I was continuing my talk, you just cut in between. See, there were certain natural issues, I do agree, okay? As far as I said, there was a heavy rainfall, a lot of infrastructure practices or the projects have been taking place in Bangalore, rather other part of the state also, okay? So it's not that we are not doing anything. We are spending enough money. We are taking care of every infrastructure project. And, when Congress spokesperson said about ACB, I don't know what to say. Mr. Siddaramaiah was the one, when he came to power in 2013, who took the nail and teeth of Lokayukta just for the sake of enjoying corruption in his government. Now it's our government based on High Court's direction who are strengthening Lokayukta. Come on, in case of 40% corruption also, openly I'm challenging even now, if that contract association president have a gut, let him go to Lokayukta. Who is Mr. Siddaramaiah? Is Siddaramaiah a Lokayukta judge? Is Siddaramaiah a
Forget all of that. What are you doing? Stop thinking about the past. Ask him to talk about today.
Okay, let me just bring down the volume for a moment. No cross talk, but I want to understand this. Ma'am, you've been in the field, Ms. Chamar, for years. You and your organizations. Are you seeing any change, Katyani Chamar? Are you seeing more responses from your corporators, or are the corporators in Bengaluru completely disconnected from these issues? They just want to make sure when they are in power how to make a quick buck. It's not about trying to give back and invest in the future of Bengaluru.
Absolutely. And also the state government trying to catch hold of total control over Bengaluru's finances and revenues. So they are not allowing the local government to function well also. They are not giving them the finances or the functionaries to perform well, because the MLAs want to keep Bengaluru under their charge. So the BJP spokesperson said that 6,000 crores is being given to Bengaluru. But if 40% of that is going away as commission, what kind of infrastructure are they going to provide to us?
Okay, this 40% figure of commissions is sticking in people's mind. Mohandas Pai, let's come to where we started off. I started off by saying there are these emotive issues like the Idgah Maidan, and that calls for a separate debate whether Ganesh Puja should be allowed on a place where Eid is allowed. Is it a public land? These are all issues that courts will have to eventually take a call on, not on the last day before Ganesh Chaturthi, but well in advance. But the larger question is the messaging that goes on to the wider world. When you want to be a global city, you don't want to be caught in issues like hijab ban, azan, ban on Muslim traders. It sends out the wrong messaging to the wider world. The wider world wants to know, how are you a 21st century ready city? Not that when rainfall comes, there are potholes across the city.
Rajdeep, bad infrastructure has been plaguing for Bangalore for more than 20 years. Every government we have had has been corrupt. They've been making money. And I like this, both these party spokesmen pointing fingers at each other, because both have been corrupt. They make the money through these corporators, through the projects. Now, for the last 2 years, we are told that money has not been paid to contractors. Somebody should investigate what are the works for which they have made a bill for which has not been paid. Where are the works? And you'll find many of the works never exist. And that has been going on for a long period of time. To take a power connection, you have to pay a bribe in the earlier government. All government, let us not blame one government with the other. Both have been equally corrupt. The key thing is we have to fix the governance of Bangalore. Bangalore has had a bad track record of bad infrastructure the last many years. Our lives have got worse year after year after year. We do not see hope. Our metro, which is supposed to come, is been delayed. We have bad governance in the metro. We need action. And that is the only solution. Now, as far as all these events, that will continue. That is not going to go down, because political parties always raise emotional issues to get their votes.
I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that political parties raise emotional issues to get votes. I wish that political parties try to fight elections on who will solve the pothole problem. Yes, Aishwarya, I'll give you a final word.
Rajdeep, I think it's not only political parties that do talk about things about religion or divisive terms. A lot of Bangaloreans and also very prolific ones, who I'm very sure Mr. Mohandas Pai himself, or maybe himself also know, is the fact that they also have made very disparaging and divisive statements over time. But once it starts affecting them personally, is when they come out and this civic consciousness kicks in. The fact of the matter today is my state is in an abysmal and pathetic situation. And the only thing the BJP has to offer you is a controversy of somebody's Maidan, or what somebody wears, or what the loudspeakers are playing, or what you're eating, or what is in your fridge. This is very reminiscent of something that happened in a state up north. And you saw the manner and the trajectory of those elections. But the Karnataka Congress is very fit and fine to fight against this on the agenda of development. And I believe we're going to fight
that is fake.
She has hit you, Mohandas, a little where it hurts. She's saying, your civic consciousness is only coming out now. You should be focusing on that instead of getting into these religious tangles at times yourself.
Rajdeep, I don't know who this person is. I can't see anybody on your...
She's Aishwarya Mahadev.
Let me tell you, we have been talking about infrastructure more than 20 years. I don't know who this person is, who she is, what she is doing. She must not make such stupid statements. And it is the Congress party we did that Tipu Jayanti. Was Tipu Jayanti necessary? Tipu is a killer.
The Tipu Jayanti was first started by the BJP, sir. Do your research. I may be a nobody, but at least I can prove it.
Tipu was a killer. He has killed the
It was started by Mr. Yedu.
He killed the mango pictures.
Okay, let's leave it there. I think let's all get the civic spirit. Let's all get the... Okay, I'm not... Today will not be a day where we will focus on religion. I hope those images of Bangalore collapsing at least force people to realize that a city which promised to be a global city is a sinking city today. And that isn't a good message to send out at a time when you want to become, as I said, a city of the future. I thank my panelists. Karnataka elections are coming in a few months, so the religious temperatures will rise. Vote bank politics is what they call it. I thank all my guests for joining me. Let's turn to the other focus that I have tonight. The rage over the murder of a minor girl by her stalker in Jharkhand that continues to grow. Today, the Jharkhand High Court stepped in and sought a detailed report from the DGP of Jharkhand on the horrific story of Ankita. Here is a detailed report.
जैसे उसके लिए अभी हम मर रहे हैं, उसको भी वही सजा हो जाए।
आप ऐसा चाहती?
हाँ।
On August 23rd, a minor schoolgirl was burnt alive by a stalker in Jharkhand's Dumka. She succumbed to her injuries 5 days later. The suspect Shah Rukh Hussain is in police custody. Outrage over this brazen crime has spread across the country. The Jharkhand High Court has taken cognizance of Ankita's murder and summoned the DGP.
फॉरेंसिक की भी टीम आई है, सीआईडी के प्रभारी भी आए हुए हैं और एडीजी हेडक्वार्टर भी आए हुए हैं। इन्हीं के परीक्षण निर्देशन में अनुसंधान हो रहा है।
The National Commission of Protection of Child Rights too has stepped in. It is sending a team to Dumka. The BJP has trained its guns on Jharkhand government, accusing Chief Minister Hemant Soren of appeasement politics.
शर्म आनी चाहिए ऐसे अपराध करने के बाद या अपराध करने का अवसर झारखंड की लापरवाह सरकार ने दिया। अगर वह सरकार ने समय से कार्रवाई की होती तो उस बेटी के साथ ऐसी घटना नहीं घट सकती थी। उसको समय से इलाज मिला होता तो शायद उसका जीवन नहीं समाप्त होता।
The demand for swift justice is getting bigger, with Ankita's family and citizens calling for the death penalty.
यही चाहते हैं मेरी बहन, मेरी छोटी बहन मेरे आपके सामने तरफ की मारी, उसको भी इससे भी बड़े सजा मिले, फांसी भी उसके लिए करूं।
अंकिता का जो हत्यारा शाहरुख हुसैन है, उसको तो जल्द से जल्द फांसी की सजा हो। तो हम लोग का हवाले कीजिए, अगर फांसी अगर कानून नहीं करेगा तो हम लोग उसको जलाएंगे।
The Supreme Court has laid down the criteria for awarding the death penalty in the 80s. Capital punishment is given in the rarest of the rare crimes. Many experts feel that Ankita's murder is a fit case for death penalty. Bureau Report, India Today.
So does this case where Shahrukh Hussain stalked Ankita and eventually poured petrol on her, killed her, she died of her injuries, does it constitute the rarest of rare? What should be the yardstick for death penalty? Is really the death penalty an effective deterrent? Joining me now, Aman Lekhi, Senior Advocate, Supreme Court and former Additional Solicitor General, and Sanjay Hegde, Senior Advocate. Let me get both of you in first. Do you believe, Sanjay Hegde, this constitutes rarest of rare case? That's what I heard Abhishek Manu Singhvi tweet, or I saw Abhishek Manu Singhvi tweet, that this is a fit case to be seen as a death penalty case, stalking leading to murder in this manner?
Well, first, Rajdeep, let me make a confession. I have been a prosecutor. I got about 10 death sentences confirmed from the Supreme Court. But thereafter, I've had a rethink. I don't think the death penalty works. Your viewers may also remember that I was the amicus curiae in the Nirbhaya matter. This case is a horrible case. The girl suffered. Condign punishment is due. And I have no doubt that it will be administered. But the phrase rarest of rare is capable of much interpretation. And we should not necessarily say just rarest of rare. The entire sentence reads, the rarest of rare cases where the lesser alternative is unquestionably foreclosed. So very often, courts look not only at the facts of the case, but they also look at the offender. Sometimes they say that the offender is a young person who was misled, who was in some passion, or there are several factors which come into the play at the sentencing stage. I would not want just outrage to take over and say, and right from the beginning you say rarest of rare, go for the death penalty. That creates a kind of mob mentality which is not quite in consonance with the rule of law.
So just to clarify, you were amicus curiae in the Nirbhaya case. There you pushed for the death penalty. In this case,
no, I did not.
You did not push. You did not push for the death penalty.
No. I was an amicus appointed to assist the court insofar as the defense of the.
Do you believe that was a fit case for the death penalty?
Rajdeep, I have thought about it long, and I think that I would say the rarest of rare cases is only a case like Kasab, where keeping the man alive would invite further terrorist attacks.
Okay.
But otherwise, in no other case would I support the death penalty.
Aman Lekhi, criteria for rarest of rare, as I look at the Machi Singh versus State of Punjab case that became in a sense the landmark case, manner of commission of murder, motive for murder, socially abhorrent nature, intensity of crime, character of murder victim. Do you believe that Ankita's case in Jharkhand fits this criteria? A woman stalked by a man and eventually doused with petrol and burned to death?
Yes, I think this case will come in that category. But let me just preface what I'm going to say with a bit of introductory remarks. First, let's see. Law makes a distinction between culpable homicide and culpable homicide amounting to murder. Now, insofar as death is concerned, and 302 deals with murder. For murder, what's necessary is both intention or knowledge. In this particular case, intention and knowledge is both there. So this is unquestionably a case of murder. Now, notwithstanding it being a case of murder, as Sanjay has correctly pointed out, sentencing is bifurcated. And it's bifurcated, so notwithstanding the nature of the offence, it's not necessary that in every offence death be awarded. For the purpose of awarding the death, what you see is the extenuating circumstances, if any, and on a balance of aggravating, mitigating circumstances, whether the penalty is proportionate. Now, the proportionate nature of the penalty will go to the criminal, the circumstances of the crime, and also the nature in which it is committed, the circumstances which you just pointed out. In this particular case, I feel it will fit the bill, subject, of course, the court examining it, because what is at play is a social construct. What we see today is a misogynist attitude and a patriarchal mindset which is in some ways stymieing society. I will keep religion out of it because as far as this aspect is concerned, this is across religions. We have an irrepressible sexual urge in a male and a sense of entitlement in a male, and the male assumes to himself an authority over a woman because there is an understanding of element of subordination when the woman is concerned. And because this is more or less current in a societal milieu, the purpose of law is basically to teach what is acceptable and what is not. And in this particular case, the sanction becomes a very important method for putting the right lesson across.
No, so is death a deterrent?
Case,
so Mr. Lekhi, is death a deterrent? Because look, in this country, an NCRB data which has come out has also shown that crimes against women have increased. There is a rape that is committed every 16 minutes as per the previous NCRB data. Would death in a case like this be a deterrent, or is this case being decided because of the outrage? As Sanjay Hegde said, outrage cannot be a criteria to decide rarest of rare.
Absolutely. I completely endorse the view. I completely agree with Sanjay. We are governed by rule of law and vengeance has got no role. But let me correct you where this is concerned, Rajdeep. Question of deterrence is one aspect of penology. Apart from deterrence, the necessity of a punishment is also important, and the necessity of punishment goes beyond deterrence. Now, notwithstanding the fact that death is a penalty, if a rabid accused is yet not deterred, then all the more reason law has to intervene to impose the punishment so as to put such brazen behavior in check. So the fact that death has not been a deterrent to the person concerned doesn't necessarily mean that the circumstances warrant death should be imposed. For the person not being deterred, he not be subject to the punishment. Okay. You don't impose the punishment because you are in any way outraged or to sense of vengeance or by a reason of revenge. It is retributory. There is a difference between retribution and revenge. One goes to rule of law and the other goes to private vengeance. When you are dealing with penal law structures a response to an offence to fashion a sentence which is appropriate. You may call it any name, but as long as it is proportionate and appropriate to the crime, it is warranted. So is it and on the prima facie understanding of what this case is,
yes, go ahead.
On a prima facie, I mean, Sanjay is absolutely right. We cannot rush into a judgment. But on the basis of whatever information is there, if these facts are correct, in my opinion, in a case like this, death should be a punishment. Not a case of special, because now we have a special punishment also after Sriharan and Shraddhanand, where you can put a person make a person remain in custody for life without remission, because that is an alternative to death. Because sometimes the court is not sure whether death is appropriate because the person come out in 14 years. But I personally feel a case like this, considering the social milieu in which we are, to send a message across and to keep men in check, because it's high time men remain in check. I personally feel, as far as this particular case is concerned, the facts are right, that would be appropriate.
Okay, you think that would be appropriate? Sanjay Hegde, quick final word. You don't think it would be appropriate just going by outrage? You think a life imprisonment perhaps is with no remission could be a stronger message?
Yes, Aman mentioned the Shraddhanand case. That too was a case which I prosecuted, and it was in after that it was laid down as a matter of law that as an alternative to the death penalty, you could say that the person would spend the rest of his life in prison without the option of remission.
Okay.
And that sometimes is much more appropriate. I do remember Mr. Ram Jethmalani catching me after that judgment and saying, what a cruel judgment you've got. I, for one, would prefer an instant hanging to lingering on in the prison.
Okay.
So it's not as if that life in prison without remission has no deterrent value.
Okay, so let's leave it there. So
that
clearly,
it might be more appropriate.
Okay, you two views. Aman Lekhi believes that the case of Ankita and Shahrukh Hussain is an appropriate case where Shahrukh should possibly, on the prima facie facts, be handed the death penalty. And Sanjay Hegde believes life without remission is perhaps the appropriate penalty. And remember, in this context, Bilkis Bano, gang rape, her son killed, a 3-year-old child, daughter killed in front of her. Her convicts have got remission after 15 days. That's, of course, another debate. No whataboutery today. We want each and every case to be prosecuted to ensure that it has sufficient deterrent value. Aman Lekhi, Sanjay Hegde, appreciate your joining me here tonight on the News Today. Let's take a break on the show. On the other side, our Good News Today story. It comes from Lucknow. You're watching the News Today. News without the noise.
I don't read the news. I read between the lines to tell you the true version of events. The true story of our times.
To document grief, the toughest assignment for any journalist to be.
From those who matter.
Women politicians going to stick up for each other.
Of those who should matter. I document the truth. I don't distort the truth. I don't glamorize the truth. I don't gloss over the truth.
The ghosts of India's contentious medieval history have come knocking again.
I hustle for the truth. On the ground, in the newsroom, in the studio. I don't try to grab eyeballs.
I inform you to make you see the point.
To the Point with Preeti Chaudhary. At these times, only on India Today.
To tonight's Get Real India story, a big child trafficking racket has been busted in Uttar Pradesh. This after a video emerged of a man stealing an infant at a railway station went viral. Shockingly, the baby who was stolen was later found at the home of a BJP corporator in Faizabad. Guess what? The corporator and her husband had paid 1.8 lakh rupees for the baby because they wanted a son. Get Real India.
There's no way you would have missed this viral video that stunned, shocked, and broke your heart. The stealth with which a man in the dead of night picks up an infant and walks away. These CCTV visuals from the night of August 23rd at the Mathura railway station are chilling. A man appearing to pass by the child who's sleeping with his mother. Moments later, he comes back and scoops the child up and makes a dash. The CCTV camera captured him running towards a train stationed on the platform. The 7-month-old baby has been found 100 kilometers away from where he was picked up.
वहाँ से जो बच्चा चुराने के बाद जो यहाँ पे दीपू नामक जो जिसने बच्चा को चुराया था वो अपने यहाँ से पहले ऑटो से फिर बस से वो पहले हाथरस वो गया। हाथरस में जाकर के जो भी इसके टीम के जो भी इसके गिरोह के लोग थे उनके साथ इनकी मीटिंग हुई थी। जो इनको बेचना था जिससे उसके साथ ऑलरेडी इनकी पहली मीटिंग हो चुकी थी। फिर उनको बुलाया गया, बुला करके फिर बच्चे को उनको सपोर्ट जो है वो किया गया था।
आपको मालूम नहीं पड़ा जब वो ले गए उठा के?
नहीं पड़ा था, फिर मैंने दिन में देखा नींद, फिर मेरी उठी जब मेरे को पता पड़ा।
सुबह मालूम पड़ा? हाँ। उसके बाद फिर क्या किया आपने? पुलिस
वाले को बताई थी हमने आकर।
फिर
पुलिस वाले ने कैमरा चालू करके उसमें देखा, फिर सीधा पता लगा कि बच्चा कोई एक आदमी लेके जा रहा है। और यहाँ के पुलिस वाले बहुत अच्छे हैं, हमारी मदद कर दी, हमारा बच्चा वापस ला दिया।
He was found from a BJP corporator's house in Firozabad. With this recovery, the Uttar Pradesh cops have cracked a well-oiled syndicate that steals and sells children. But the fact that a BJP corporator bought a child is not lost on anyone. BJP corporator Vineeta Agarwal and her husband had allegedly bought the boy for 1.8 lakh rupees from two doctors who were part of a larger gang as they wanted a son. The couple already has a daughter. 8 people have been arrested, including the BJP corporator and the man Deep Kumar, who was caught on the security camera picking up the child from the platform.
8 लोग इसमें अरेस्ट हुए हैं और ये जानकारी हुई है कि कुछ और बच्चों को भी इन्होंने बेचा है। अब किसको बेचा है, कहाँ से वो बच्चे आए थे, इसका भी हम लोग इन्वेस्टिगेशन में उसको शामिल कर रहे हैं, इसीलिए इसमें धारा भी बढ़ाई गई है।
The 7-month-old boy has since been handed over to his parents, but the sheer brazenness of the crime and the involvement of a BJP corporator has left India stunned. Bureau Report, India Today.
Absolute shocker there from Faizabad and UP. But some good news. Let's end with good news today. Mothers of cancer survivors have now come together to start a food processing unit also in Uttar Pradesh. I leave you tonight with an inspiring story of self-reliance and, dare I say, Nari Shakti in its truest form. You stay well, stay safe. Good night, Shubhratri, Jai Hind, Namaskar.
These women working at a food processing unit in Lucknow have one thing common. They are all mothers of cancer survivors. Hit by the COVID crisis, which led to the shutdown of many small-scale industries, these mothers joined hands to earn enough to take care of their children's medical expenses. For this, they have to thank Sapna Upadhyay, a social worker who saw their plight and took the initiative to start a spice factory.
कर्म करो, आगे बढ़ते चलो, हम साथ हैं, आगे बढ़ते चलो, क्योंकि केवल एक ईश्वर है जिस पे हमने विश्वास करके मदद का हाथ बढ़ाया था इन महिलाओं के लिए, और इसीलिए हम कभी गिव अप नहीं करेंगे, नेवर गिव अप.
Starting out with perishable spices, the small-scale entrepreneurs soon started making products with longer shelf life. New machines were installed, staff strength increased, and incomes also rose. Vineeta, mother of a cancer survivor, now saves money to help her daughter chase her dream of becoming a doctor.
ट्रीटमेंट शुरू हो गया, अब इतना खर्चा आ गया और मेरी एक चाय की छोटी सी दुकान, हम लोग कहेंगे इतना खर्चा कहाँ से लाएंगे, तब भी मतलब हिम्मत जुटाते रहे। हमको काम दिया, काम करने के लिए सहारा दिया, एक बहुत बड़ी हिम्मत जुटाई कि तुम लोग हिम्मत रहे और हम तुम्हारा साथ हैं। मैं मेरी बिटिया को भी पढ़ा देंगे, मेरे बेटे को पढ़ा देंगे, मेरा बेटा भी आगे बढ़ जाएगा, मेरी बिटिया भी आगे बढ़ जाएगी.
Now that the Swarm Spices has been registered by the Ministry of Micro, Small and Medium Industries, the happiness of these mothers knows no bounds.
बहुत खुश हैं हम, और सब महिलाओं को काम बताते हैं कि धीरे धीरे जो नई महिलाएं आती जाती हैं तो उनको सबको हम बताते हैं काम कि ऐसे न ऐसे करो, बहुत खुश रहते हैं.
These mothers are self-reliant today and also have each other's support in managing day-to-day tasks and personal duties. Bureau Report, India Today.
Can Taiwan defend itself against China?
China did many military drills around Taiwan. If China decides to launch a full-blown military attack, its armed forces would dwarf Taiwan's. Here's China and Taiwan's military capabilities compared.